In the previous episode, we dealt the Aserai a final blow. They are now homeless nomads, destined to roam the desert like their ancestors. With roughly one-third of Calradia under our kingdom's control, we look to the north to further expand. The Northern Empire has recently declared war, a mistake which will cost them dearly. Looking at the balance of power, we outnumber them by more than 10,000 troops. In order to avoid our nobles feeding them needlessly, we set the war strategy to defensive. This will influence our armies to stay near our lands and defend rather than make poor sieging decisions and losing everything. At this point, it's more work than it's worth to stick to companion-only armies, and we take whoever is closest by. We don't want too many troops, as that would be overkill, taking away from defenders. Too few troops will slow down our conquest progression. The sweet spot for this game is somewhere between 800 to 1,000 troops for most sieges. It doesn't take long for our first customer to show up. They siege down Varagos castle in the north and we show up to defend. 8 to 1 KDR later and we move on to the next task. Rissos castle is also under siege and not very far from us, so we sell a few things at Saniopa and head north to help out. We catch Lukon in the act and outnumber him significantly. It was more of a slaughter than a battle though. We head north to siege down the first fief of the war, Diathma. They have a significant defending force of over 700 troops, but we still outnumber them almost 2 to 1. We only need the ram and siege towers as we can absorb the injuries from Onager. The battle was a bit costlier than expected, but it's a sacrifice I'm willing to make since the majority were other nobles' troops. One thing I wanted to point out is that success in keep battles isn't too difficult, but is made even easier with a good weapon and unbridled aggression. We don't have to take out every single opponent one by one, and it can often lead to a slower attrition-style fighting to do so. Feel free to breeze by a defender if they are blocking or knocked to the floor. We have troops following us to help clean up the leftovers. No further losses and Diathma is under our control now. We show up on the ownership vote, but we don't need it and have enough Empire nobles to hand fiefs off, so no need to promote a companion. On our way north, we spot a smaller enemy army coming to siege our fiefs again, so we intercept. Another 10 to 1 battle and we continue our march. Epicrodia is next to fall, but with 600 troops they have nearly as many troops as we do. Not that it had any impact on the battle, but here is me getting dunked on. The town falls quite easily with very few casualties. They seem to be having issues raising a big enough army as this one has only 250 troops in it. We are too slow to catch them, so we give chase up to their next closest fief. They take refuge inside Mekalovea castle and we start the siege. 3 days later, in one missed recording, the castle is ours. They're losing lands much faster than I had anticipated. What seems to be the last efforts of the north appear and our ally noble gives chase. We have some great speed boost perks, so we eventually catch up. The balance of power is massively in our favor, so we opt for the auto-resolve and still get a 10 to 1 KDR. Nice. They still own Gersegos castle, so we take a quick detour to snag that back. How cute, 106 troop army. I remember when I was clan tier 1 too. A quick auto-resolve and we're back on the road south to Gersegos. I was feeling a bit lazy and decided to auto-resolve the siege as well, and we lost 160 troops against 300. Not a good decision, but ultimately not a big deal. So we're now at war with all 3 of the Empire kingdoms. I guess it's time to wipe them all from the face of the map. We own more fiefs and field more troops than all 3 of them combined, so let the steamrolling begin. The Southern Empire take Tamna Castle from the recently conquered Aserai lands. They have 38 troops in the garrison, so not much to see here. We catch a minor clan trying to raid and put them behind bars. We spot the sieging army and move in to eliminate them so we can get back to work taking fiefs. They shouldn't have much left now, and we siege down Lavenia Castle to the north. And wouldn't you know it, Vlandia shows up to ruin the fun. If I had a dinar every time Big Daddy Durthert was being naughty. They have roughly half as many troops as we do, but are on the opposite side of the world, so we opt to sue for peace. At 17,000 per day and over 1,000 influence, it's not cheap. While we are ballin' out of control with dinars, we don't have nearly as much influence and can't sustain votes like this too frequently. Back to the task at hand. We auto-resolve another siege and take the castle. While heading to the next target, we get another war declaration. This time it comes from none other than Unkid himself. Because he only recently lost his kingdom, he still has money in the private piggy bank to keep the nobles loyal, but soon those funds will dry up and he will be by himself. They only want 1400 dinars for peace and 700 influence, so we sue for peace. It wasn't necessary, but I'm always a fan of keeping things simple and focusing on one task at a time. We head east and siege down Danustica. The sooner we take their fief, the quicker we can bankrupt their kingdom. It's been a while since we had an offensive archery montage, so enjoy a few long shots. We take the town without much issue. Most of our Empire nobles have several fiefs to their name, so it makes sense to promote another companion. A clan can only field so many units, so giving them too many fiefs or money will result in inefficiency. We hire Vemuros the Scholar from the tavern and tell him the good news. As expected, we are on the vote list and take the town so we can hand it off to Vemuros. Both Tamna Castle in the south and Mekalivia Castle in the north are being sieged down. Our boy Jassid comes in to save the day and eliminates the sieging party. I knew we made a good choice in promoting him. Now Lavenia is under siege. The cockroaches are coming from everywhere now, and we must rid ourselves of this pestilence. We scare the sieging army off and quickly head north to stop the raiding.
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.
Of course, another Manavlian. We smash them and get a move on. They siege back Lavinia Castle and raid the same village again. They won't siege it that quickly, so we smash the raiding party first. I'm not sure what they're doing, and they break off the siege again. Holy moly, they are sieging Danustica now, so we rush there to stop it. They're also sieging down Diathma, but Apis is nearby with an army to put a stop to it. He drove off the Diathma siege, but now they're going after Gisegos. Not much we can do about it from down here though. Okay, time to focus. We're getting too distracted by all the cockroaches scurrying around. We begin the siege of Ordria Castle just to the east of Diathma. They have comparable numbers to us, but the majority of which are tier 2 militia trash. We will call a few nobles into an army to at least speed up the siege construction. We beat the crowd to the walls and head up to the nearby tower in order to clear out enemy archers. A huge stream of troops comes waltzing by, and they apparently think I'm on their side even though I'm hacking them to pieces. Change of plans. We need to keep the ladders clear so our troops can come up safely, so we head back to help out. There is a massive traffic jam on the stairs, so we opt for the bow instead. Whoops, time for a slight detour. We sneak behind the main gate defenders and help clear up the jam and take the castle. It always feels good to get 20% of the total kills with our main character. Now we march on north to Onira. There is a small army between us and they have low movement speed, so we swallow them up. Look at these numbers. Onira has a decent defense with over 500 troops. Once again, our nobles want to go to war with Britannia, but we can ignore the vote until after the siege. One thing at a time, please. In the last episode, I didn't explain something very well, so I highlight it here. Sometimes an enemy troop can get stuck in the walls, making it impossible to finish the siege in this round. The best way to finish is to retreat, then auto-resolve the rest. They will usually have a couple troops left, but it should be 0 deaths. Easy peasy win. Also, this led me to find about an exploit. If the defenders have 30 plus troops that retreat to the keep and you don't want to fight the keep battle, you can retreat just before the battle is over and auto-resolve, completely avoiding the keep battle for free. We hire the next Empire companion, Mostiros the Robber, who will take over some fiefs for us. We spend 765 influence to deny the vote for war with Britannia, as we are not yet ready to head west. Thankfully, we are on the list for Onira and take the fief, then hand it off to Mostiros. We will have a few more to give him soon as well. One more benefit of choosing a naming scheme like this: you can't name two clans the exact same, so now I know how many Empire companion vassals I have without having to look. Big brain plays. Ragnvad of Sturgia changes his mind and no longer wants the dinars and declares war. We are heading north shortly, so it shouldn't add too much extra work for us now that we are done with Aserai. After a few days of rest, we head north to Corenia, the easternmost fief in the area. Looks like they want to take back Onira, which we won't allow. These smaller armies are no match for our cavalry-heavy scouting perks using army. At this point in the campaign, we don't have time to recruit nobles anymore, so we keep whomever we capture after battle. We're not quite there yet with scouting 225, but we only need them off the battle for a few weeks while we finish off their kingdom. When taking in new parties, we're only looking for ones with 100 or more troops. We release the current smaller ones in our army so they can recoup their losses. Where were we? Ah yes, Corenia Castle. Well, that was easy. As these parties in our army get close to 50 troops or so, we release them back into the wild to recover, and hopefully we can use them in a week or so from now. Another army snuck by to siege Onira, so we handled that right quick. Wow, I was not expecting this level of slaughter. It's always nice having an attack dog on our side. I bet the other commander be like,
and as soon as they saw me, they came bounding over.
another bloodbath. Initially, the plan was to go for Cyrenea, but Melian Castle might make a better target since they have around 500 troops over there, saving us the trip back south to defend if we can catch them. Lucky we still have our dog with us. Get him, boy. Sick. We set our shield wall and archers right in front of their lines and pulled a lovely flank on their archers with both our cavalry detachments. We trade 29 for nearly 500. Not bad. I don't recall the exact reasoning for it, but we head back to Cyrenea first. Towns are generally worth more than castles, but it might have made more sense to take the castle since we were right next to it already. We do the mortal dance with a group on the top of a tower. Remember that footwork and movement protect more than good blocking, but with both you can take on any size group. It's a fairly costly siege, but we can keep rotating nobles in with fresh troops without having to slow down now. We pick up yet another Empire companion since we never know what the other towns will have when they are conquered, and I would rather have a spare one ready to promote. Another 1,000 influence down the drain because they want to fight Vlandia again. In a matter of a few weeks, we went from over 10,000 influence to down to less than 6,000. At this rate, we will have to put up with multiple wars soon. We take Cyrenea and pass it off to Solthuris, adding yet another clan to the kingdom. Surprise, another 300 troops come back to take some land. They almost get away, but we get to them before they reach the castle. They're basically speed bumps at this point, more of an annoyance than anything else. I'm curious, how many of you get triggered with a map that isn't pointing true north? I like to zoom out and use the edge of the map to straighten it back out, but it would be comforting to have a button just for that. Anywho, let's take this castle right quick. They're trying to take Corenia back, so we should probably relieve that since nobody else is nearby. Normally I would leave it for later, but with this much land still to conquer, I would rather stop it now. It looks like we have a couple small groups chasing them. Nice. A quick auto-resolve and we can get back to work. We head back to Melian Castle with hopes to push north through the pass afterwards. We rush the wall before the mob blocks it off completely and run into this little stack of goodies. These bombs do massive AoE damage, but still only cause injuries, so it's fine if we hit a few of our own troops. Don't tell them I said that. We take the castle fairly easily and continue north. The Southern Empire have lost their final fief and still our nobles want to continue war with them. We spend 300 influence to persuade them otherwise. 1 down, 2 to go. We head north from Cyrenea to help relieve another siege. This time it's the King of the North. Too bad it didn't help them this fight as they get curb stomped.
You know nothing. King Lucan.
With that army dealt with, we can safely head west to Mysia. The siege goes off without a hitch, and we can easily take the town. I'm not sure why this was amusing, but I liked that his legs started running halfway down. If you thought the nobles were done voting for war with Britannia, think again. This time, 1100 influence to downvote it. 3 of our empire vassals have only 1 fief, so we donate Mysia to them. Another siege notification south of us, which we catch them in the hills and completely demolish them. This was one of the most decisive wins of the campaign, 400 for 7. Only a few more towns left to the north, Amprella being the next target. These battles are getting even more lopsided as time goes on. I'm not sure if they are running out of money to fund higher tier troops, or perhaps as something else. There is a ring of 3 castles nearby, all within a day's march from Amprella, which means we can conquer and easily defend. Ciratos Castle is first to fall, only days after Amprella's capture. Espinosa will be next, but first another vote for war. We can't take many more of these votes, although fortunately we won't have to worry about it soon, as we will clear them from the map. More bomb throwing shenanigans, and we take the castle. Mysia is under siege, but it looks like Suruk is heading there to handle it. I trust he will do his duty. Just to the west is Lochana Castle, our next stop. Not much to note on this siege other than I'm happy it's done. I can't wait to be done with the Empire once and for all. More cockroaches scurrying around our lands. Time to squash them. Immediately after, we spot a Sturgian warband coming down from the mountains to raid. We intercept them and have our first scuffle with the Circle Shield Squad. Nice, the creepy swamp map. Luckily, our ranged troops have the latest in radar technology and can shoot accurately through this thick fog. The Sturgians' biggest weakness is generally their cavalry. We have our cavalry follow us and drag them through the tiny enemy cavalry detachment. We send our infantry and archers forward slowly, giving us time to set up a rear flank on their infantry line soon enough. With both infantry lines only a few meters from each other, we give the charge order and watch the carnage. Rip Sergeant Crossbowmen. Not long after, the enemy take to flight and we run most of them down. Losses are very light on our side, so we continue to the west now. We reach Tactics 175 and take Make Them Pay, as we will probably be doing some siege auto-resolves here to save time. The other perk is good for longer sieges where you need to grind down the defenders. How cute, this little guy thinks he can take a castle with 120 troops. We decide to take him under our wings so we can show him how real sieges work. Time to refresh and keep our army up to date. The end is drawing near for the last 2 Empire kingdoms.